through the mist, the spirits of Eleanor and Jasper appeared. Eleanor explained that Jasper had been cursed by a vengeful spirit, trapping his soul in the body of a cat. The curse could only be broken by an act of true selflessness. Lydia realized that by taking Oliver in and caring for him, she had already begun to break the curse. As the ethereal figures hovered, their forms shimmering in the moonlight, Eleanor's voice resonated with an otherworldly echo. Jasper's soul was ensnared by a spirit seeking retribution, she said, her eyes filled with sorrow. For years he has wandered in this feline form, bound by the chains of the curse. Only a pure act of selflessness can set him free. Lydia's mind raced, piecing together the puzzle. Her heart pounded as she recalled the moment she found Oliver, cold and abandoned, and took him into her home. She had acted out of compassion and love, expecting nothing in return. By caring for Oliver, Lydia whispered, her voice trembling with realization, I have already begun to break the curse. Jasper, still in his feline guise, looked at Lydia with eyes that seemed to hold a depth of gratitude and hope. The mist around them began to swirl, and the air grew thick with anticipation. Eleanor's gaze softened. The bond you've formed with Oliver, the love and care you've shown, is the very essence of what is needed. Continue on this path, Lydia. Your selflessness is the key to Jasper's freedom. With those words, the spirits began to fade, the mist dissipating into the night. Lydia stood in the silence, her heart heavy with the weight of newfound knowledge. She knew what she had to do. Her journey with Oliver was not just a chance encounter, but a pivotal step towards breaking the curse and restoring Jasper to his true form. Determined, Lydia vowed to nurture and protect Oliver, knowing that their bond held the power to alter destinies and heal broken spirits. The path ahead was clear, and with each step, she moved closer to unraveling the mysteries that bound them all. Eleanor revealed that the final step to break the curse required Lydia to make a great personal sacrifice. Lydia, with tears in her eyes, understood what she had to do. She had to let Oliver go, to free him from the curse that bound him. It was the hardest decision she had ever made. Lydia's heart pounded as she approached Oliver. The weight of the decision bore down on her, each step feeling heavier than the last. Oliver stood by the ancient oak, his eyes filled with a mixture of hope and fear. Lydia, he whispered, reaching out to her. She took his hand, feeling the warmth and strength in his grip. Oliver, she began, her voice trembling. I have to do this. It's the only way to save you. No, he protested, his eyes widening with desperation. There has to be another way. We can find another way. Lydia shook her head, tears streaming down her face. We don't have time. The curse is growing stronger. If I don't do this now, we'll lose everything. Oliver's shoulders slumped, his face etched with sorrow. I can't lose you, Lydia. And I can't lose you either, she replied, her voice breaking. But sometimes, love means letting go. Taking a deep breath, Lydia closed her eyes and whispered the incantation Eleanor had taught her. A brilliant light enveloped Oliver, lifting him into the air. The curse that had shadowed their lives began to unravel, threads of dark magic dissolving into the ether. As the light dimmed, Oliver was gently lowered back to the ground, free from the curse's hold. But Lydia could already feel the distance growing between them, an invisible barrier that her sacrifice had created. Oliver reached out, but his hand passed through her like mist. Lydia, he choked out, his voice filled with anguish. I'll always love you, she said, her form becoming more translucent with each passing second. Remember that. With one final, tearful smile, Lydia faded into the air, leaving Oliver alone under the ancient oak. The wind whispered through the leaves, carrying her final words to him. Eleanor watched from a distance, a solemn expression on her face. She knew the cost of breaking the curse, and she knew Lydia's sacrifice would be felt for years to come. As the first rays of dawn broke through the trees, Eleanor whispered a silent prayer, hoping that Lydia's spirit would find peace in the sacrifice she had made. With a heavy heart, Lydia took Oliver to a secluded spot in the woods where Eleanor and Jasper had once found peace. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow through the trees, and the air was filled with the soft rustle of leaves and the distant call of birds. It was a place of serenity, a fitting backdrop for the momentous decision Lydia was about to make. She turned to Oliver, who looked at her with a mixture of gratitude and sorrow. "This is it," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "This is where we part." Oliver's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "Lydia, She placed a finger on his lips, silencing him. "No more words," she said gently. "Just remember that I love you. Always." Taking a deep breath, Lydia began to whisper her goodbyes, each word a dagger to her heart. She spoke of their shared memories, their dreams, and the love that had sustained them through the darkest of times. With each word, the bond between them weakened, and the curse's hold on Oliver loosened. Finally, she set Oliver down gently on the soft, moss-covered ground. As he stood up and began to walk away, the air around him shimmered with an ethereal light. Lydia watched, her heart aching, as Oliver's form began to change. His movements became more fluid, his steps lighter, and his entire being seemed to radiate an inner light. As he transformed into a radiant being, finally free from the curse that had bound him for so long, Lydia felt a strange mix of joy and sorrow. She had saved him, but in doing so, she had lost him forever. Oliver turned back one last time, his eyes filled with a peaceful light. "Thank you, Lydia," he said, his voice echoing with a celestial resonance. "I'll always carry your love with me." And then, with a final, glowing smile, he vanished into the forest, the light of his presence fading into the twilight. Lydia stood there for a long time, the weight of her sacrifice settling over her. The forest around her seemed to hold its breath, as if honoring the gravity of the moment. She knew that she had done the right thing, that she had freed Oliver, but the pain of his loss was sharp and unyielding. Eventually, as the first stars appeared in the night sky, Lydia turned and began to walk back to her village. She carried with her the memory of Oliver's radiant transformation and the knowledge that love, even in its most selfless form, could bring both great joy and great sorrow. As she stepped out of the woods, Lydia felt a sense of peace begin to take root in her heart. She had let go, but she had also set free, and in that act, she found a new strength. The path ahead was uncertain, but she knew she would face it with the same courage that had guided her through the darkest of times.